3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative, the motion is not agreed to.
Mr. President, Mr. President.
Majority Leader of the
Mr.
Senate.
President, Senate's not in order.
Order, Mr. President.
The Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I enter a motion to reconsider the vote.
The motion is entered.
Now, Mr. President, the Senate has demonstrated that the House-passed bill lacks the support of 60 senators. I would urge a yes vote on the 2-month extension. Senator Burr, the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, and Senator Feinstein, the ranking member, as we all know, have been working on a proposal that they think would improve the version that the Senate has not accepted that the House sent over. It would allow the committee to work on this bill, refine it, and bring it before us for consideration. So the 2-month extension, it strikes me, would be in the best interest of getting an outcome that's acceptable both to the Senate and the House, and hopefully the President.
Mr. President.
So I would urge a yes vote.
Mr. President.
Senator from California.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that since a strong bipartisan majority of the Senate voted to invoke cloture on the motion to proceed to the USA Freedom Act, that the motion to proceed be agreed to, that the bill then be read a third time, and the Senate vote on passage of the USA Freedom Act.
Mr. President. Is there objection? Mr. President.
Object.
Objection is heard.
Mr. President, let's be clear what happened here. We tried with a majority to protect this country, and the Republicans objected. Let's be clear.
Regular order has been called for.
Mr. President.
Debate is not called. Debate is not in order.
Mr. President, if I may, I'd like
Debate
to point of
is not in
personal
order.
privilege. Mr. President, I would like to correct the majority leader regretfully. I did not support the Burr bill. I do not believe that's the way to go. I've taken a good look at this. For those who want reform and want to prevent the government from holding the data, the Freedom Act is the only way to do it. The House has passed it. The President wants it. All of the intelligence personnel have agreed to it. And I think not to pass that bill is really to throw the whole program, that whole Section 215, as well as the whole business records, the lone wolf, the roving wiretaps, into serious legal jeopardy.
Regular order, Mr. President.
Regular order. The clerk will report the motion to invoke cloture.
Cloture motion. We, the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the Standing Rules of the Senate, do hereby move to bring to a close debate on the motion to proceed to S. 1357, a bill to extend authority relating to roving surveillance and so forth, and for other purposes, signed by 16 senators.
By unanimous consent, the mandatory quorum call has been waived. The question is it the sense of the Senate, the debate on the motion to proceed to S. 1357, a bill to extend authority relating to roving surveillance, access to business records, and individual terrorists as agents of foreign powers under the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act of 1978 until July 31, 2015, and for other purposes shall be brought to a close. The yeas and nays are mandatory under the rule. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Alexander. Ms. Ayotte.
No.
Hurley.
Ms. Blunt votes yes. Yes. Johnson, yes.
Are there any senators wishing to vote or change their vote? Senate will be in order.
If not, on this vote, the yeas are 45, the nays are 54. 3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative, the motion is not agreed to.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader.
could we have order in the Senate?
Senate will be in order.
I would say to my colleagues, it's clear there aren't 60 votes in the Senate for the House passed bill, and there aren't 60 votes for a 60-day extension. So I'm going to propound a series of consent agreements to see if we can avoid having the program expire roughly a week from now. Therefore, I ask the Senate now to proceed to a bill to extend the expiring provisions until June the 8th, that the bill be read a third time and passed with no intervening action or debate.
Mr. President.
Is there objection?
Mr. President. Mr. President.
Senator from Kentucky.
Reserving the right to object, we have entered into a momentous debate. This is a debate about whether or not a warrant with a single name of a single company can be used to collect all the records, all of the phone records of all of the people in our country with a single warrant. Our forefathers would be aghast. One of the things they despised was general warrants. This is a debate that should be had, and the reason I am objecting is because I've made a very simple request to have amendments, to have them voted on, and to have a guarantee that they're voted on. I started out the day with a request for 6 amendments. I'm willing to compromise to having 2 amendments at a simple majority vote. I think that's a very reasonable position, and if we can't have that, and we can't have an extensive debate over something we've had 4 years to prepare for, I will object, and I do. I object.
Objection is heard.
Mr. President, I renew my request with an amendment to extend the expiring authorities until June the 5th.
Is there objection? Without objection? Objection is heard.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader.
I renew my request with an amendment to extend expiring authorities till June the 3rd.
Is there objection? Without objection?
Mr. President.
Is there objection?
Mr. President.
Senator from Kentucky.
I'll defer to the senator from New Mexico if he wishes to make the objection.
Mr. President, I object.
Objection is heard.
Mr. President, I renew my request with an amendment to extend expiring authorities until June the 2nd.
Is there objection?
Mr. President.
Senator from Kentucky.
I object.
Objection is heard.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader.
I thought I did. I enter my motion to reconsider.
The motion is entered.
I suggest the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
My colleagues, here's where we are. We are unable to clear any short-term extensions, and the current law expires at midnight on Sunday. So the Senate will be back in session Sunday afternoon, a week from Sunday. Thank you, Senator Schumer. We'll be back in Sunday, May the 31st. One more opportunity to act responsibly, to not allow this program to expire. This is a high threat period, and we know what's going on overseas. We know what's been tried here at home. My colleagues, do we really want this law to expire? We've got a week to discuss it. We'll have one day to do it. So we better be ready next Sunday afternoon to prevent the country from being in danger by the total expiration of the program that we're all familiar with. Unless there is objection, and I understand there is an objection, is not an objection, We'll pass the highway extension on a voice vote tonight, and we'll be back in session Sunday a week.
My friend yield for a question. Would my friend yield for a question?
I yield for a question.
We would be happy to cooperate in passing the surface transportation bill by voice, but I do say this, and I mentioned this to you off the, away from the microphones. For those of us living in the West, we can't get back here Sunday afternoon. I mean, I think it's very difficult for us to get back here on a weekday before 5 o'clock. So I would hope on a Sunday we wouldn't be expected the Senate to come in session before 5 o'clock because we can't get here. And I'm protecting the western part of my caucus, which is pretty big. I'm not going to agree to anything unless we can come in at least at 5 o'clock.
Well, as my friend the majority leader knows, I'll be happy to work with him on that, and he also knows I just tried to get an extension, a short-term extension of a variety of different lengths in order not to put us in this position, but we're left with this option only. And we'll work with the Democratic leader about the actual time, but the law expires at midnight, Sunday a week. And I doubt if there are very many of us who are comfortable with that, maybe a handful. But we need to act responsibly here on behalf of the American people.
I agree.
So, Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent the Senate proceed to a period of morning business with senators permitted to speak for up to 10 minutes each.
Would I ask unanimous consent that the call of the quorum be vacated?
Without objection.
Mr.
Senator
President,
from Maryland.
thank you very much, Mr. President. I wanted to speak earlier because I wanted to encourage my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to come to a resolution on this problem. We cannot let this country go dark in terms of its ability to do its duty to defend the United States of America. And we've got to get off of what we're doing here and start getting down to the business of what we need to do. I've got to believe that tonight the world is watching us and they say, there goes the United States Senate, and there they go home. Ha, ha, ha. They have a program that someone literally tried to disgrace the United States of America and render it helpless in terms of our ability to protect us. The name is Eric Snowden. And then now here we are working on a program that went through the respective committees that is a sound and sensible solution, and we've rejected it. Well, I'm not here to talk about the program, but I'll tell you who I am ready to talk about. The thousands and thousands and thousands of people who work at the National Security Agency. And I want to talk about what they go through every day. They're out there working a 36-hour day trying to defend the United States of America. And they want to work under a law that is constitutional, is legal, is authorized, so that they can do the necessary work to defend the United States of America. They thought they were doing that under the old FISA bill. They thought they were doing that. They were proud of what they were doing it. They mustered everything that they could give to this country. Then along comes Eric Snowden. Then along comes the leaks. And then along comes the pontificating about, my, we've got to worry about privacy. I worry about privacy too, but I also worry about the safety and security of the United States of America. And I watched the nation vilify the men and women who work at this agency. So now, as we work under the current law, which will expire, make no mistake, it will expire, we don't have it together to pass a new law. So they have been vilified for what they have done. They have vilified for what they have done. In many instances, attacked by their neighbors, their children picked on and bullied on because their parents work at this agency. Morale was at a low ebb. Finally now we're trying to deal and cope with that. They're proud of their work. And what are we doing? We can't even pass a law. We can't even pass a law. Now, I think that is absolutely outrageous. I am so sorry we are going home. I am so sorry we're going home. So now we'll come back next Sunday. I really urge those people who I know are of goodwill and good intention to really work to find a way that when we come back next Sunday, we will be able to vote and move forward and not end up in this ongoing parliamentary quagmire. I worry about our country, and I worry about our ability to govern. This is as serious as it gets. What is the role of a national security agency to be able to operate and function in a way that's constitutional, legal, authorized, and obviously of necessity? So I really feel very strongly about this, Mr. President, and I've watched all this go back and forth and so on. So we spent hours and days and days and days on all of these amendments on trade. That's good. I'm glad we did it, but I'm not glad we took that long. We had this bill, we knew we had this bill, we waited to the last minute, we got ourselves into a jackpot, now we really have to get our way out. I just cannot speak more forcibly enough about this. And here, well, I will have more to say next week, but I really urge others to really do their very best. I know that there are people here, like my colleague Senator Feinstein, others who have worked on this. Mr. President, I yield the floor and note the absence of a quorum.